WrestleMania 40 and it kicks off with pure carnage. It's the six-pack tag team ladder match with the titles on the line hanging high in the air. 12 superstars vying to be the one to bring them down. And it's complete chaos, high risk and high reward. It's incredibly hard to keep up with all the action and there are bodies flying everywhere. But it ultimately comes down to two teams, the defending champions and the Awesome Truth. But The Miz and Finn Balor are duking it out on top of the ladder, fighting over the titles. But down below, Priest nails Truth with a kick and he stumbles into the ladder, knocking Miz and Finn off, and they crash through a table. But he bounces back and accidentally takes out Priest over the top rope, and it leaves Truth all alone, and the crowd lifts. Truth looks around. The crowd are screaming at him to climb. He's a little bit confused, but he does. He gets to the top and pulls down the titles. The Awesome Truth are once again tag team champions and the crowd goes nuts. It's a wholesome and feel-good moment to start the show, but a match that will be significantly less wholesome and feel-good is up next. It's Knight versus Styles, and it's just as intense and chaotic as the opener. These two hate each other with a burning passion, and this new and aggressive and ruthless AJ Styles takes it all the way up to Knight. He takes him to the outside, and he takes the low rope. But it gets even worse. AJ rips the turnbuckle pad off purely to distract the referee, and as the referee is fixing it, he throws Knight to the outside and grabs a chair. He throws the chair at Knight and smashes it off his face, and then Styles sends Knight back into the ring. But as the referee turns around, he sees AJ Styles with the chair, grabs it off him and throws it to the outside. But Knight has recovered and he leaps off with a flying blockbuster. And then he sets him up and lands the BFT. But he isn't done. He lands the Megastar elbow and picks up the win. It's crafty, it's well played, and he shows just whose game it is. But as Knight is celebrating the win, we see a team that hopes to have a big win later in the night as well, and it's Cody and Seth who arrive and are stopped for comment, and Cody says, "We're in the bottom of the ninth." Regardless of what they say, this is a tied game. But tonight will be the first step in ending all of this. And Seth chimes in and says, "It's time for everyone to pay the piper." They're ready for war, but another man who'll have to be as well is Sami Zayn, who is up next to face the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time to try and end his history-making run. And after taking some pointers from Chad Gable, who has blatantly said that he doesn't think Sami can do it, he ventures out to try and prove everyone wrong, takes it to Gunther with speed and accuracy. And with Chad Gable seen watching on from the back, he sees Sami get incredibly close. From blue thunderbombs, and even a violent haluva kick. He just can't keep him down. He knows he has to go for broke though, and he sets up Gunther, and he wants a top rope brainbuster to end it all. But Gunther reverses and actually manages to get Sami up for an avalanche powerbomb. Sami gets picked up right away, and he powerbombs him again. But he isn't finished. He continuously powerbombs him over and over and over until the referee decides to call the match because Sami isn't defending himself. He isn't stopping there. He continues to powerbomb Sami Zayn all over the ring. It's decimation at its absolute most evil. But then Chad Gable runs down to make the save, but with the damage already done, it's far too late. Gunther leaves with the championship reign still intact. And then we see backstage the arrival of the tribal chief and the final boss. And huge boos ring out and they're asked for comment as well, but they decline. However, the wise man Paul Heyman does have some words and he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman." And I have a brief but very serious message for Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Tonight, we ruin not only night 1 for you, but night 2 as well. Because I promise, after tonight, we make everything right and the bloodline story continues as we intended. And it's the way it's gonna have to be. Including right now, when Jimmy Uso dominates his brother Jay. And that's not a prediction, that's a spoiler. There is sibling rivalries, and then there is this. And it's the first step in the attempted bloodline takeover of WrestleMania Philadelphia. It's easily the most emotional match of the night, but that increases even more when Solo comes out and he's threatening to get involved. But before he can, Nick Aldis arrives and says, "Oh, gentlemen, I forgot to mention, when this match was made official, I took it upon myself to enlist a special guest referee. It's Rikishi! He's going to officiate the match! He's going to stand in between his 2 sons and keep an eye on his other. And the battle is absolutely raging. The 2 brothers do not hold back whatsoever. They throw bombs at each other. And when Solo tries to interject, he is told in no uncertain terms by his father to step back. He holds the whole thing in place, and it paves the way for a fair fight. And as the match culminates, we see the brothers with nothing left in the tank. They're throwing bombs. Jimmy super kicks Jay. Jay super kicking Jimmy. And it goes back and forth and back and forth. Who will wilt? Who will fall? It's Jay who literally collapses onto Jimmy, and Rikishi makes the count. It's all over, and right after the match, Jay doesn't even really celebrate. He just looks at his father, and he's face to face now with his brothers. And Rikishi says, "You fought it out like men. Now, we forgive each other like family." Jimmy and Solo, still under the thumb of the bloodline, walking out on their own blood. But Rikishi doesn't look like he wants to give up on his sons just yet. But that's going to have to wait. We don't have to wait, however, for the co-main event of night 1, when Bayley faces the very group she started trying to capture the WWE Women's Championship. And of course, Io Sky is accompanied by the entire group that Bayley handpicked, and they all want a piece. Bayley gets a taste of her own medicine that she dished out for a long time with them. The crowd is behind her. They want to see the underdog overcome the odds. But it all seems completely lost because the numbers are just too much. Until backup arrives. Damage Control are thwarted by their opponents for night 2. Jade, Bianca and Naomi brawl with all of them. And as Damage Control lose control, Bayley seizes it. Io looks for a moonsault, but Bayley avoids, and she nails a rose plant. But then she looks around at the crowd, and they all want to see it. She calls Io to her feet and nails her with a Bayley to belly. She pins Io, and Bayley wins it. She goes from winning the Royal Rumble to winning the championship at WrestleMania. We'll have to wait and see if Jade, Bianca and Naomi can topple the rest of Damage Control on night 2. But for now, the moment belongs to Bayley. But there's still one more massive moment and a massive match to culminate night 1. It's on! One of the biggest tag team matches in history! Roman and Seth kick it off, and there's a lot of feeling. No one wants to be the one to make the mistake, but it's Roman that takes control of the match, and he's enjoying it. And even though The Rock is looking for the tag, Roman ignores it. And the opposite side, Cody wants the tag to relieve Seth, but he can't get it. But we get a turning point. Rollins gets the shot that he needs on Roman with a Revolution knee, and both men are down. And now they're both crawling towards their partners. They both desperately need the tag. But Roman gets to Rock first, and the Great One is in. But he runs across, grabs Rollins, and now he has Seth all to himself, and Cody is gonna have to wait even more. And as the punishment continues, The Rock savors it all. He plays it up to the crowd, and Roman wants in again, but this time it's The Rock ignoring him, and he's just soaking it all in. And right as Cody is desperately trying to get in the match, The Rock sprints across and knocks him off the apron, and then continues the punishment. It's not looking good at all for the Revolutionary. But down on the outside and now getting back to his feet is Cody Rhodes, who desperately wants in the fight, but instead of going to the apron, he goes after Roman. He pulls him down off the apron, and now they're fighting it out on the outside, but it leaves Seth at the mercy of The Rock. But it's late in the match that we get the twist in the tail, because Cody is now back on the apron, desperate to get into the match finally. And Rollins gets separation from The Rock and manages to get the all-important tag. Cody's in, and he finally gets his hands on The Rock. He's on fire, lashing out at the Tribal Chief and the final boss. And as he goes to knock Roman off the apron, The Rock takes the chance to get a cheap shot in from behind and then tosses Cody to the outside. And Cody is trying to get back to his feet like he has been all match when the unthinkable happens. He said that everyone was going to pay the price. The crowd can't believe it. Rollins leaves, and The Rock grabs Cody, throws him in the ring, and Roman lines him up and spears him. He leaves him laying, primed and ready for the final boss to finish him off with it. The odds for Night 2 are now stacked completely against Cody. He now has to face bloodline rules. Anything goes. The Rock celebrates the win with Roman Reigns, and The Rock soaks up all the adulation, but we know the job isn't done as we head into a combustible Night 2.